Greetings. Welcome to another episode of Wednesday Lessons podcast and video show. I'm your host, the Growth Educator. Today we have an awesome special guest. This is Dr. Winters, also my father. So I'm glad to have him here on the show today. Appreciate you for coming out, being a part of it.
Glad to be a part of it.
So just to share a little bit about Dr. Winters, he's very passionate about helping people to reach their full potential. He loves to see people grow and develop into what God has empowered and equipped them to be in life. Dr. Winters is a motivational speaker, school district administrator, associate pastor, and certified life coach. His heart is to help people to walk through life knowing that purpose people exist for a reason and they succeed in what they do. Michael is a graduate of Warren Central High School, Vicksburg, Mississippi, and Jackson State University in Jackson, Mississippi. He has a Bachelor's of Science degree in elementary education, Master's of Science degree in educational administration, and a Doctor of Philosophy in educational administration. So again, we're excited to hear a lot of the experiences and the great things you've done throughout your career. So we'll start off by asking, what got you started in the field of education, and what was your why, behind you choosing that field?
Well, Michael, first off, before I get into answering that question, I wanted to say I applaud you for wanting to create a platform for educators to sound off on and collaborate and just share ideas and do exchanges like this. I don't, if it's happening a lot or often, I'm just not aware of it. But I'm glad to see you stepping up to be an answer in education. So my hat's off to you on that.
Absolutely, I appreciate it.
Right. So what inspired me to be an educator? Without going into a long story, I'll try to make a long story short.
Take your time.
When I was in high school, my plan was to go into the military and Air Force in particular, but things didn't work out that way, and I've always had a heart to work with children and the elderly, and so I figured, I'd work either in one of those two fields, but just by the grace of God, I think education is where I landed. And I had people who saw it in me that encouraged me to go into the field, and so I chose to do that. And it's been a rewarding journey for me.
Awesome. Glad to hear that. The next question would be, when did you discover that you can make a major impact, in the field of education? And I guess what would be, one of your biggest accomplishments so far in the field of education?
Well, I didn't say this a second ago, but when I was in high school, we had a Future Teachers of America club. And with me being in high school, whatever opportunity I could have to get out of class, I took it. And so I ended up just taking that Future Teachers of America class, being a part of that club.
Was it Miss Smith? Was Miss Smith?
Right. Miss Arlene Smith. Right.
Shout out to Miss Smith.
Yeah, Miss Smith. Yeah, Miss Smith, you to blame for this. But so I didn't realize at the time that I would really pursue a field in education. Okay. But I realized when I started my first teaching gig, it was a tough little school. And the class that I had, I didn't know it at the time, but I was walking them down the hall. We were going, I think, to lunch or something. And I noticed some of the teachers in the hallway stopping and looking with their class, just kind of in amazement. And I didn't know what was going on. But then I had a couple of them to tell me at the end of the day, hey, look, we've never seen that bunch of students that you have that quiet, going down the hallway and that respectful. And so I didn't know, anything special that I had done. I do know that those kids respected me.
Right.
And I respected them.
Right.
I enjoyed working with them, and I think that they knew during that time that I was someone they cared about them.
Right. That's good.
Right. So, but my biggest accomplishment to date would be, there's so many different stories, but when I was a middle school principal
Mm-hmm.
and our backs were against the wall, when I got there, my plan was to turn that school around within 5 years, and it actually took 6. And it just so happened the way the accountability rolled around and things changed, we got caught in a 2-year cycle of low performance rating.
Okay.
But all of the elements were in place for us to make that turn.
Right.
And so as a school, we collaborated together as a school, as a body of educators. And we moved that school from low performing to successful.
That's awesome.
And we had to do it on the heels of the State Department of Education being there. And so what we did, we capitalized on what they were bringing to the table, so to speak.
Right.
But we had already developed a plan and a culture and a climate. Okay. And so our motto that year was stick to the plan.
Okay.
And so for us to move from low performing to successful, because we stuck to the plan, that I think that's the most memorable part for me.
Right.
And there were so many lessons that we learned. Now that was as an administrator.
Okay.
But as a teacher, the defining moment for me as a teacher was I had a group of kids, and what I would do with my group work, I would do group work with my boys, and I would do group work with my girls. And the girls were easy. Mm-hmm. The guys were a little tough. But the turning point for me was when they wanted to be in the groups, and they wanted to learn, and they had a hunger and a thirst because of an atmosphere that was created within the classroom by me.
That's awesome. That's very good. And actually, in another podcast, the Growth Educator podcast, kind of talk about creating the learning environment that's conducive, not just for educational growth, academic growth, but also social growth. So it's great that you pointed out that you were able to create that climate for them. So that's awesome. And I definitely remember that growth that you had when you were the junior high principal. Mm-hmm. Was it like 19 points or something like that?
24.
24? Okay.
24, 25 points, something like that.
I remember that. So that's awesome. That's awesome. Let's kind of switch gears a little bit. So let's talk about what were some challenges or mistakes that you made along the journey, that kind of, helped you get to where you are now.
Well, I made a lot of them. I made a lot of mistakes. A lot of them I wish I could get back.
Yeah.
But when I first started,
mm-hmm.
I came in very strong and hard and strict, and my students responded to that. Mm-hmm. But I wish that I had a little bit more knowledge under my belt. A lot of the climate and atmosphere that was created was done by trial and error.
Okay.
There were some things that the School of Education at college didn't prepare me for.
Right.
And so there were a few things that I wish I could have gotten back. And then just I couldn't. You're not going to always win all your students, mm-hmm. but I wish that I would have won more of them.
Okay.
But when they see me now, there's a respect level that's there that lets me know that, hey, I did make an impact.
Okay.
And so I don't know if I really answered your question, but I know that when I started, I had a lot of zeal, mm-hmm. but I didn't have as much knowledge as zeal. Okay. So you have to marry the two, the zeal and the knowledge together. It takes you further.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay.
Yeah.
So what wisdom would you share with anyone, who was in the journey of finding their purpose? It could be, wisdom for any educators or just, people in general who's trying to kind of find their way, and to, anybody who's pursuing their dreams.
Okay. Well, the wisdom I try to impart would be this. Anything that's living starts small.
Okay.
Anything that's living starts out small. Whether it's a baby, whether it's a puppy, whether it's an insect, mm-hmm. all of it has to go through a process and a cycling.
That's good.
And grow into it.
That's good.
And so while we want to make impact and we want to be significant, there's a growing stage that we go through, and we grow into those things. And so I would encourage the listeners or viewers to always look for ways to expand your capacity.
Okay.
As you work to expand your capacity, you'll be able to hold more. And just don't be afraid to take risks and to take chances on some things. And always be open to sound wisdom and advice. Now, tune out the naysayers. Tune them out.
Tune them out.
Tune them out. Put them on mute. And if you can even keep them at bay, do that. But I would say, remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Expand your capacity.
Marathon continues.
Yeah. Expand your capacity and build your support, a system of support.
Right. That's awesome. That's awesome, man. Thank you for that wisdom. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the viewers? Is there anything on your mind or heart?
Well, I think when you find your purpose, you find your why, and you find the niche that you have, I would work it
Okay.
until you can't work it anymore.
That's deep.
And you're going to find opportunities set before you, because when you work within your purpose, you're providing an answer for something. And you're most valuable where you're an answer.
Okay.
If you don't provide an answer, that means it's not needed. But if you have answers, then you find where the need is, where your answer is.
Right.
And you save time, energy, and effort on things that don't matter. When you understand your why, you understand your purpose, you put yourself in a situation where you're able to provide answers and solutions. Right now, I'm looking at this lovely set that you have here. You don't need a mechanic. A mechanic can't answer this problem.
Right.
Let me rephrase that. A mechanic can't come in here and bring solutions to what you're doing.
Right.
A mechanic is to work on vehicles and things like that. You're creating podcasts, sharing thoughts and ideas and those kinds of things. A mechanic can't answer that. But if your car breaks down, your mechanic is the most valuable person at that moment.
That's good.
So whatever your why is and whatever you answer, look for those opportunities to put your answer there.
Hey, there you have it. This is why. He's the man. So we want to say thank you again. Before we close out, how can the viewers stay in touch with you? Because you very powerful, have a lot of wisdom. You mentioned your purpose group earlier. So how can we stay in touch with you?
Okay, so I am in the revamping phase of my social media, my websites, and all of that.
Okay.
Excuse me, but you can find me on social media, just my personal social media page at Michael Winters. I'm the one with the bow tie. And let's see, thepurposegroup.org, the purposed, PURPOSED group.org. There are a few blogs on that particular site, but that's being upgraded as well.
Okay.
All right.
Well, awesome. Thank you again, Dr. Winters, or Dad, for coming on the show. Leave us a comment, like, share. We're trying to do some great things. We're trying to, shed some light on, things that really haven't been, talked about a whole lot. So thank you guys again for tuning in. Be blessed. Remember these 3 things: we live, we love, and we learn. Peace.